I'd like to introduce the current residential president and the nominee for the next chairman-elect of the board, Jorge Guerra.
How's everybody doing today? All right.
Sure. This is right.
So I get the honor to host the Technology Titan panel. I want to start off by allowing you guys to give yourself a quick introduction, starting with Susan and working your way down.
Thanks, George. Hi, everyone. I am Suzanne Mueller. I'm a Senior Vice President at Realtor.com, and I've been in the real estate industry for almost 15 years now. 10 years I was in brokerage leadership, and then the past few I have been at Realtor.com.
Good morning. Yeah, good. Thanks for having me here in Miami. Kevin Foreman. I'm the Vice President and General Manager of a traffic company called INRIX. And I'll be speaking later this afternoon about how self-driving cars are going to change this industry. And by the way, just a quick stat on Anthony, this confusion of how bad is traffic in Miami. Miami's the 5th worst traffic in the United States, but 14th in the world. So yes, if you come from San Paulo, this looks like East Rubber Boot, Montana. But if you come from Spokane, Washington, the traffic here looks terrible. So it's all relative. So we'll talk more about that this afternoon, but thanks for having me on the panel.
And last but not least, I'm Chris Bennett. I'm the executive leader of CoreLogic Real Estate Solutions. We supply you with your multiple listing service as well as other solutions in the market. And just very happy to be here. This is my 32nd year in this industry. And I started at a very young age. But, very happy to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give this industry titan a big round of applause. Thank you very much for coming over here. My first question, it's going out to Chris. Chris, how are you using data, tracking it to enhance the agent experience and that of the consumer that they serve?
Yeah, so, we are a data company. And for us, it's all about how do you actually pull this data together and make it consumable. Whether it be public record information, active listing content, your leads that are coming in, the saved search information that you have, the imagery that you're trying to put out there to capture those eyeballs, such as what you saw with Box Brownie. For us, it's all about making sure that when we're pulling all of this data together, we're doing it in a way that makes it consumable for the agent and makes sense, but keeps the agent at the center of the transaction. That's really our focus, is to make sure that you are always the focal point for getting that data, as opposed to it just being out there and available at that same level across the board that we think needs to come from you. So our goal is really to just build solutions out that allow that data to be captured, whether it's drone imagery, internal images matched up with some BI and predictive analytics that allow you to do a better job. So that's our focus for the next couple of years.
Thank you very much. Kevin, what can you add to that?
Well, a lot of people think you need data. There's an old adage, in God we trust, others bring data. And you do need data, but you really don't. What you need is information and insight. And we have a product called INRIX Drive Time that's available through CoreLogic Matrix that allows you as realtors to take the guesswork out of real estate, like drive time to work. As you probably know, NAR says 73% of home buyers consider drive time to work as a key decision criteria. And one of the things that drives me crazy about this industry is it still takes 20 showings to sell a house, where in theory you should be able to sit, look at all the properties, look at 200, and not have to guess them on the drive time. That's our little piece of the puzzle. And so that you can know what the typical, not real time, what the typical drive time to work is, so that they know their budget. The last thing you want as an agent is having your buyer with white knuckles sitting on the I-95 channeling all that anger through you for the next 7 years, right? Because you live on references. So we help take that guesswork out. one of the last things I'll say that drives me crazy is that realtors often get their house buying couple down to the final 5 houses and then tell them drive house A on Monday morning to work, house B on Tuesday morning, house C on Wednesday morning. And that might not be typical. There might be a Marlins game going on, or a Dolphins game, or a mattress on the road. Last 29th of August, so 8 days ago, there were 29 mattresses on the roads in the United States. Little trivia. Why? Because college kids don't realize that chairs are porous, but mattresses turn into sails. So anyway, you don't want real-time traffic, and that's the insight that you get. So when a buying couple comes to you and says, I can just use Google Maps and figure out what the drive time is, you can now say, no. Listen, you want to use typical drive time. I have available that to me through Matrix, and it really puts you in a consulting role with your buying couple to really help them find the best house. And I'm hopeful that over the next few years, we can actually shrink your sales cycle. Don't let your buying couple drive the houses for 5 days. That might not be typical, or house A might be gone by Thursday, right? The couple might be divorced by Wednesday. Don't do that. Anyway, my point of that is we are a big data company. We track 300 million drivers. We get 1.2 billion data points a day. But all that's data. Chris's company with Matrix makes it easy for you to search for homes based on typical drive times to works. And that's the information that the data provides. And my theme today is going to be turning data into information so that you can do your job better. And I think that's the part that our little slice that we pull in this market. Thanks.
Susan, can you tell us a little bit of how Realtor.com is using data and tracking as well?
So I think to build on both Chris and Kevin's comments that it's about insights, but really we believe the core of what we provide, the best value we can do is to give the consumers an amazing experience that allows them to connect with you more quickly, and then to help foster and maintain that connection by making it really frictionless. And so the data should be at your fingertips. It should be right there. You look at you've talked to this person, or you've just gotten an inquiry from Kevin from Seattle, and you should know all about Kevin, and you should know what properties he was looking at. And really, because there's millions more technology in the world, right? We saw Box Brownie, very cool, things like that. But you still, as realtors, only have 24 hours in a day. And we are really looking to help you use them as effectively as possible and to be really efficient, but still allowing you to have that connection and to have that build that relationship. So decrease the time you're spending actually doing, and help you grow your business and build those relationships and increase that time in that manner. So it could be anything from community information, school information, mapping, down to, as we said, we're building a new solutions called Real Suite, where we're putting together a dashboard that literally is supposed to allow you to immediately have insights into your different clients, what they're doing, what's going on, and start tracking them throughout in one location throughout their life cycle as a buyer or seller. And that's what's really important, all the way from click to close and through ownership too. So it's all about looking at that holistically and what can make things easier for you, faster for you, but allow you to do what you do really well, which is own that relationship, own that client, and be the local expert.
Thank you very much. This question is for Kevin, and I want Susan to follow this one up. What would surprise the audience that is gathered here today about the information you gather, track, and focus on to enhance your products, services, and their experience?
Yeah, great question. I think that there's a bunch of trivia we'll talk about this afternoon, but the thing that surprises me is that when you click I allow on your mobile app, next time read section 4.2b of the operating system terms and conditions on page 14 of 64. Because you're anonymously giving us your GPS, and it's helping you sell houses faster. How's that for crazy? So people are using MapQuest and Waze and Google Maps and all these applications, and they anonymously give us the data, and we track 1.2 billion data points a day. And who would have thought that that can actually help realtors take the guesswork out of typical drive time to work, for him, for her, to daycare, to the airport? That's surprising. Chris and Suzanne know I've been pulled into this industry 4 years ago. And I've had more fun in this industry than other industries we work with, because housing's really important. We work with the auto companies and the Federal Expresses and the Amazons, and they all want to know about real estate, because everybody's also a homeowner. And this part that surprises even me today is the fact that traffic data, which is the world we live in, is actually really important for understanding new home buying. And it gets me excited every day, because you guys have a tough gig. As I'm reminded numerous times, you go to work every day, but you don't get paid every day. You're one of the few industries, every one of my staff gets paid every day. And sometimes they don't always work. But no, we have fun at my office. But you guys are doing amazing things. And the part that just surprises me, the long answer to a short question, I would have never guessed 5 years ago that roadway traffic geeks, because my company tries to solve roadway traffic congestion, could actually be a material business to helping homeowners buy and sell houses. And it makes me very proud every day to be able to help you guys. So that's the part you might not know.
Thank you very much. Susan.
Kevin hasn't paid me, but I'm going to tell you, I've had the privilege of being to his headquarters and seeing what they have there, and looking at traffic from Beijing to Berlin, and it's pretty phenomenal stuff. So if you don't have his app on your phone, you should get it, because I do.
Where's my $5?
So at Realtor.com, I think there's two things I want to talk about that we track, and I think you, right today, we always want to I always want to provide information you can immediately walk out and start using. I think you're sick to death of hearing about time to respond to leads, right? Okay, so how about this? 50% of the leads we send out never get responded to.
Wow.
Never.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, well, I can share, we do this research on a daily basis, both with consumers and customers. Over 50% never get responded to. So think about that. All you have to do is respond, the sooner the better. But if you were who you are doing something else, I don't know, reaching out to any place on the internet that you're familiar with, Amazon, etc., wouldn't you want a response immediately? Yes, you would.
Big time.
Or at least a response. So that's one thing. The other thing, interestingly enough, I'm going to talk about is video. How many of you do use video? Good. Excellent. Do you know that next year in 2019, over 49% of the traffic on the internet is going to be all about video? 49%. Do you know that if you use video, you'll have a 1,200% lift? That's 1200 lift in people who actually come to your website, view your property. Yes. And businesses that use video, and so I'm talking about every one of you sitting in these seats. Every one of you is a business. Businesses that use video grow revenue 47% times faster than those who don't. So now how many of you are going to start using video now? Yeah. Hands down, guys, one of the growth areas, if you don't do it now. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be high-end. It doesn't need to be fantastic. You all have an amazing video camera in your pocket right now. Start using it. Use it on your properties. Use it consistently or hire it out. But that is some of the data we track that, we talk to people and they're like, yeah, video seems nice. It does. Listen to the numbers. And then they're like, well, I never get leads and they never call me back. Well, 50% of them never got a call in the first place back. So 2 things to think about and walk out with today.
So Susan, I love the video talk. I'm a big believer in video as well. There's another trend that's been dominating the airways lately, and I would love for any of you guys to chime in on that, and that is mobile devices and the mobile experience. What are you guys doing to enhance that for the realtor and the consumer?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. It was about how multiple devices, so laptop, mobile, tablets, what's going on? Well, we all develop, at Realtor.com, we develop mobile first, always. What is it going to look like on mobile? Our consumer satisfaction rate is in the high 80s because we have such extreme positive reviews regarding our app, Realtor.com app, both in the iOS store as well as in the Android store. We always build for that first and then desktop second. Why? Because the majority of traffic, as we all know, especially in real estate, has gone to mobile. So there's multiple areas of mobile. There's not just the app, but there's also mobile responsive, right? So that's when you design so it, no matter what you're on, it shrinks to the page you're on, or it shrinks to the device, the size, and understands. So it recognizes and reflects it. So I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus here, but I was just on Inman, and I couldn't get rid of the little pop-up because it wasn't mobile responsive. It was too busy being way off here when my phone was here, the little X. So we very much understand that and appreciate that, because real estate is a in the market, on the street, standing at the curb business, and nobody takes their laptop there, they take their phone. So that's what we're doing and really working on and focusing on, and that's why I go back to video. More video now is being viewed on mobile than on desktop.
Chris, can you share some of your mobile plans or what we're doing today with mobile?
Yeah, absolutely. So, who out here has been out in the marketplace, you're viewing a home, you want to get information in because you've just gotten that listing, but it's tedious to sit there and try and do it on your phone. So some of the things that we're researching is, how do we actually begin that process based off of the data that we know that we already have in-house? So for example, if you take a picture of the front of that home, we know through a geocode exactly where that home is. We can then tie that to the public record information that is in our database and auto-populate that information for you, so you're not actually having to start keying that in. So if you think about the fact that you can start actually aggregating that information, that cuts down your input time, and you know that it's accurate, and then you can go in there and just modify it. We think that along with a multitude of other ways, are things that we've got to do and invest in to make sure that really at the professional level, we know that the consumers are using it, but we need to make sure that it's user-friendly at the professional level for you guys. What you don't want to do is be out there taking handwritten notes or trying to put a little bit of information in and then go back to the office and have to rekey everything in. So we want to make that as seamless as possible, but we want to do it in a way that gets it auto-populated. So all you're really then doing is refining the information, not inputting the information. Mobile is, Suzanne mentioned this, it's always mobile first moving forward. If you're building something new and you're not mobile first, it's just, you're going down a rabbit hole. And so for us, it really is all about the ease of use at that level where you guys are, to save time on the street and make sure that you have very accurate information that you can then share with not only your seller but your buyers, because it's immediately at your fingertips, and it'd be enough information to where you could begin to share that and actually have a listing in the system that's far enough along to where you don't have to wait. So that's what we're investing in right now.
And actually, George, can I add two things?
Go for it.
So to build on what Chris said, the geocoding is really important, and this might be getting too technical for some of you, but to take that down the road, 2 years ago, Realtor.com, recognizing this, started tapping into the geocoding that's available and delivered 2 really cool components of that we offer. And one is called Sign Snap, and that is for your clients. If you introduce it to them, they can be standing in front of a home and take a picture of the sign and then get all the information downloaded about that listing, and then they can send it to you, etc. Or the other one is Street Peek, which recognizes where you are, and then you hold it up. It's available on Android now, not yet on iOS, but you hold up your phone and you can look and they can see, or you can show them. This is the really cool part, is everything that's sold before, past as well as current listings, and what they sold for and when. And so it's sort of like this instant local expert insight for you guys to like sort of have and leverage with your clients that makes it really fantastic.
Kevin, you want to give me some 2 cents on mobile?
Well, I think at the high level, your mobile device is a personal, intimate device. It's more like your toothbrush than it is your PC, because you don't even share your toothbrush with your spouse. And most of us probably don't share our phones with our spouse. Where your laptop, your company gives to you, you give it back, and it's not a personal device. It's gray, you know. It's a personal, intimate device. And as Chris and Suzanne talked about, the real privilege is to have the right to enter someone's sanctuary of their personal device. I think most of us have 20 apps that we regularly use on our phone. The difference is Chris's 20 are different than my 20, different Suzanne's 20. And if you can get your version of your app, your brokerage app, and your customer, buyer, seller allows you to enter into their sanctuary to enable some of these services, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And you should just know that it's a personal, intimate device. And what's more personal, intimate than buying real estate? Right? So it makes so much sense that you can leverage that mobile device and really deepen your relationships with your buyers and sellers.
I want to let you know, Kevin, that I'm Cuban, so my wife has access to my mobile device at all times. There's nothing personal there, Kevin?
Yeah, okay.
So the future's coming real fast. There's 2 things that are hot topics. One of them is artificial intelligence and artificial learning. How are you guys incorporating that into your business, and where do you see our industry using that moving forward? Who wants to tackle that one?
I'll go ahead and take that first. So as Kevin had stated, data's data, but insights being pulled from data are really where the rubber meets the road. And so, what we're looking at is how can we invest in creating exhaust off of a lot of different data elements that are coming in, whether it be through the consumer, through you as the agent, through lenders, through insurance companies, through your broker, through the MLS, to where we can start to pull together through BI information, but push it back into our solutions so that you can reuse it. So, for instance, if you could, get information that said, on this particular street, the number of times that a house is shown and on the market in this price range at this square footage, with being able to see the images on the interior, were priced $5,000 less, it would sell 15 days faster. May not be a great example, but if you can think about those types of insights that you can pull, those are the things that we're focused on being able to pull in, go through aggregating that information through artificial intelligence, being able to actually extract it and push it back into the solutions that we offer you so that you can make those educated decisions and it's not as much guesswork for you. You guys are the best at pricing a home and things of that nature, but if you had that little bit of additional amount of insight, you may not choose to use it, but if you needed to use it, it's there. And those are the types of things that we want to focus on, are ways that we can give you that predictive analytic to a certain degree, whether it be for your farming, how you're pricing things, what's being viewed the most within an area, how fast is it selling, what could change on your side to make it go faster, what the lenders are looking for, that's changing all the time. That all comes through capturing that information and having those business analytics around it and us getting that back to you in a consumable fashion.
Yeah. I would jump in and say, there's a lot of talk about AI. Does AI, every day on your schedule, talk about AI and blockchain, and last year it was big data. And the answer is, who cares? Right? I live in a world of artificial intelligence and big data with, 1.2 billion data points coming in today. It matters that makes products more exciting and sexy for you to help do things. So a couple myths that we've discovered through artificial intelligence. One is the old adage is wrong. And this is the adage that the farther you go away from the core, the more house you get for the money, but the longer the typical drive time. These polygons are not a radius, they're polygon shapes, and you can actually get more house for your money and a shorter drive time in minutes. One of my guys in my office, he lives 10 miles further from my office, but he gets to work in 30 minutes and it takes me 37. He gets more house for his money, got an extra bedroom that I didn't get. That's why my wife still has my phone. No. So the myth that's discovered is you can actually get more house for your money and have a shorter drive time. The second big thing that's hit us is this simple trend. If you want to write down a single trend from today's session that you can take away, it's this. We as humans are starting to measure distance differently. We used to measure distance in miles and kilometers, and almost always now it's minutes. Just test yourself. How far are you from work? How far are you from home? How far are you from the airport? How far are you from daycare? Even Sunday morning when there's no traffic, how far are you from church? It's 7 minutes. Get in the car, kids, we're late. Minutes, minutes, minutes. We see this translation in spades because people come to our company for the translation of real-time traffic from miles to minutes. And people are building Uber of babysitters and Ubers of appraisers and Ubers of plumbers, because this whole idea of staying home for a 4-hour window where your plumber shows up is so 2018, right? So measuring distance, even these green signs on the highway that tell you how far you are from Orlando in miles, they're all being changed. They're all going to go to digital. So one thing you might do is go home and audit your systems and see how often you're using miles and kilometers, because most of your customers, through artificial intelligence and big data and all that stuff, doesn't matter. Frankly, I don't know how electricity works. I have no idea why the bits don't spill out into my living room. I just plug my computer in and it works, right? But I don't have to know how electricity works. And you guys don't have to know all the plumbing and infrastructure we do and what's fun and sexy to come to our office in Seattle and see sort of our war rooms. It just helps you sell more houses by understanding that when people move, because there's 1 million reloads, right? Of the 5 million houses that sell a year, 1 million of them reloads. And if I had to move to Miami tomorrow, I wouldn't have a clue which neighborhood to buy in. I would like to sit with my iPad on my couch with my wife in Seattle and look at 200 houses, pick the final 4, contact one of you. That's another whole conversation as to how I find someone. And then look at those 4 houses and buy one by Thursday. That's the way real estate should work, right? How many of you had transactions that were 48 hours? Not too many, right? I bought and sold only 2 houses. Each one were in 48 hours. In fact, at the break you can talk. I never even met my realtor in Seattle. She didn't even come to our closing. I have no idea who she is. And she's probably at Inman saying she sold a house in 48 hours and didn't even meet the guy. That's a different story. Long answer again to a short question. You'll hear a lot about blockchain and artificial intelligence and big data. Look at the solutions from the vendors and partners that are on the stage, because these are the guys that are working magic to take all the geeky stuff that we do to make your jobs easier. And I think it's fantastic. I've watched the development cycles that these guys do. They work really hard. And there's a bunch of vendors out there too. And they all care about you selling houses faster and quicker and for higher prices.
Yeah, I think it's really about, to Kevin's point, building your businesses. And to echo what Chris said, let me back up for a second. Artificial intelligence is only as smart as what you put into it. So the quality of the data completely dictates the results you get back, first of all. So think about that. So if it's not the most recent data, if it's not the freshest data, if it's not the greatest gathering of data, your entire MLS, not that great. The other thing is that it needs to be used to inform, right? because right now it has, read all these way out, George Jetson type of articles about AI making the decision for you. It needs to be used to inform. And quite frankly, right now, we think that's great, and it is truly just in its budding infancy. We are looking to not just use it within one little group in Realtor.com, but really have it be accessible and sort of infused throughout all the groups. So it informs everything we do. So it informs how your profile page looks. So it informs how the listing's presented to make things easier for you, easier for consumers to connect to you. And it just smooths out the process. But just go back to the fact is, everybody's saying here, it's very much its infancy. What is it going to do for you? What it should do is allow us to give you better, faster, smarter tools that smooth out your experience and allow you to connect that much more quickly or on a much more personal level with your client.
Chris, Kevin, Susan, from the bottom of the Miami Association of Realtors' hearts and all the 50,000 members, thank you for flying all over the U.S. over here and sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you.